Okay, when I say the word gorilla, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? I'm guessing it's probably some roaring monster, right? Beating its chest on top of a skyscraper, King Kong style. For decades, that's pretty much been the image everyone has. But today, we're going to peel back that Hollywood myth and introduce you to the real animal hiding behind the legend. So let's just ask the question head on. Is the gorilla really that vicious beast we see in the movies? Or is there something else going on entirely with this incredible animal? You know, the answer might just change the way you see them forever. I mean, look at the difference here. On one side, you've got the movie monster, aggressive, cruel, a roaring beast. But the reality? It's the complete opposite. In their natural habitat, gorillas are actually shy, peaceful, and surprisingly soft-hearted creatures, full of emotion. Believe it or not, despite all that immense power, their default setting isn't aggression, it's tranquility. So you might be wondering, where does this deep, almost human-like emotional side come from? Well, the science on this is crystal clear. We're not just looking at some distant animal, we're looking at a very, very close relative in your own family tree. Get a load of this number, 98.3%. That is how much of our DNA we actually share with gorillas. It's just a staggering figure, isn't it? It puts them right up there as one of our closest living relatives, just behind chimps and bonobos. And this isn't just some random statistic. It's the key, the biological reason we see so many of our own behaviors and emotions reflected back at us. So how did this all happen? Well, if we go back about 7 million years, our evolutionary paths split off from a common ancestor. This great divergence is what led to the great apes we see today. You've got gorillas, which became the largest of the bunch, while chimpanzees evolved with a smaller body but a brain that's relatively larger. We all came from the same root, and that explains so much about our similarities. And this becomes even more obvious when you compare them to our other close relative, the chimpanzee. Gorillas, you see, are generally much calmer, more reserved, patient. Chimps, on the other hand, tend to be more aggressive and really curious. And it's this huge contrast in temperament, along with these other differences in physique and behavior, that really defines the gorilla as the gentle giant. And that calm nature is really the foundation of their entire family life. See, gorilla society is built around this incredibly tight-knit family unit, and it's all led by one powerful and respected figure, the silverback. Their family group has a special name. It's called a troop. Now, it's usually a pretty small group, maybe between 4 and 10 of them, but that number can definitely vary. This troop, this is the center of a gorilla's entire world. It's where they find safety, where they socialize, and how their whole life is structured. And inside that troop, there's a very clear pecking order. Right at the top, you have the dominant silverback. That's an adult male whose back hairs have turned that famous silvery gray color. He holds all the breeding rights and he makes all the big decisions. The rest of the troop is made up of the females, their kids, and sometimes a few other younger males who basically act as backup protectors. You really can't overstate the silverback's role. He is the undisputed leader. His word is law. His experience and his strength are what guide and protect the entire family. He's the one who decides their whole schedule, when they wake up, when they eat, where they're going to travel, and where they'll crash for the night. He's a gentle and patient leader with his own family, but he will become absolutely fierce if he has to protect them from a threat. And that brings us to that famous chest beat, right? It's not just some random act of anger. No way. It's a really complex form of communication. A silverback beats his chest to warn off rival males or maybe a predator that's getting too close. It's a powerful signal that basically says, hey, don't even think about coming any closer. I am strong and I will protect my family. So what does a day in the life under this silverback's leadership actually look like? Well, let's tag along for a bit and see the peaceful, steady rhythm of their lives out there in the jungle. You know, a gorilla's day is actually pretty simple. It's pretty much split between just 2 main things. They spend most of their waking hours, we're talking up to 14 hours a day, just foraging for food. The other 10 hours or so are for resting, bonding with the family, and sleeping. It's a life built on a peaceful, predictable routine. And what are they eating for 14 hours? It's mostly plants. We're talking leaves, stems, tree bark, and any fruit they can find. But they'll also add some protein to their diet with insects and snails. An adult male can pack away up to 30 kilograms of food in a single day, and they get almost all the water they need from all those juicy plants. Okay, after a long day of chowing down, it's bedtime.
And here's a super fascinating detail. Every single night, each gorilla builds itself a brand new nest from scratch, out of leaves and branches. They do this to stay clean and keep away from parasites. Think about that. A fresh, clean bed every single night.
This peaceful, structured life. It sounds pretty idyllic, doesn't it? But sadly, the gorilla's world is under constant, serious threat. And their biggest struggle for existence, well, it doesn't come from the jungle itself. Now sure, gorillas have natural predators like leopards, but that threat is actually pretty small. The overwhelming danger, the #1 threat, comes from just one source: us. Human activities are, by a huge margin, their greatest challenge to survival. These threats really break down into 3 main areas. First, there's poaching, for their meat and for the horrifying illegal trade of baby gorillas. Then there's just devastating habitat destruction, as their forests are cleared for farms and homes. And finally, because we're so genetically close, diseases that affect us, like Ebola, TB, even COVID-19, can jump to them with absolutely fatal results. The end result of all these pressures it's catastrophic. Look at this number, around 300. That's the estimated number of cross-river gorillas left on the entire planet. They are the world's rarest great ape, and they are teetering on the very brink of extinction. And this isn't just an isolated problem. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, they're the global authority on this stuff. They've officially classified gorilla species as critically endangered. That is the highest risk category a species can have in the wild. It doesn't get more serious than that. It's a really grim picture, but here's the twist. While we are the main reason for their decline, we are also their single greatest hope for survival. The story does not have to end this way. And the good news is there's a huge global effort already happening. Gorillas now have legal protection in 8 African countries. International trade is regulated by agreements like CITES, countless nonprofits around the ground doing incredible work. Responsible ecotourism is helping fund conservation and giving local people jobs, which gives them a real reason to protect the gorillas. We even celebrate World Gorilla Day every September 24th just to raise awareness. So this brings us full circle, right back to that incredible connection we started with, that 98.3%. We share almost all of our DNA with these gentle giants. They're not monsters, they're shy, they're intelligent, they're deeply social creatures that live in these complex, loving families. So when you know that, when you realize they're not beasts, but basically our relatives, the question changes, doesn't it? It's not just about saving some animal anymore. It's about saving a member of our own extended biological family.